in Arkansas with all the latest on the sports stories that matter to you.
Welcome into the Sports Blitz on a Friday. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Maddie Lassiter. We're not even mad.
I'm still in the game.
Just hanging out, man. Just hanging out. You know what we're talking about. I'm a Miami Heat supporter, and they're about to get beat out of the NBA Finals, down 3-1. No team has ever come from down 3-1 in the NBA Finals to win the series. It's a sad end to a 4-year run for the Heat, in which they made the finals all 4 years. They're going to go 2-2 between those 4 years, and LeBron will now be 2-3 in his NBA Finals career. Big shot to the legacy, even though he's played pretty well. Miami is just outclassed right now by San Antonio. 107-86. The Spurs take it in Miami. They won both games on the Heat's home floor.
They did, and they weren't even close either. That's the topper. I mean, these games were decided. They made a run in Game 3, but ultimately they got blown out twice on their home floor. You don't know where it came from or how it happened. It appears the run is over, although I think I have a little more optimism than you. We'll talk about how we look at the rest of this series unfolding. But you mentioned 4 straight finals is what they've been to, and it got me to thinking. I like to think back and compare things from the past, and I look at Detroit and what they did. Detroit got to 4 straight Eastern Conference Finals. We know they won 2 titles, 89 and 90, but they went to 3 straight NBA Finals. And we know about Isaiah hurting his ankle, or that final championship could have been the three-peat. And when you look at teams three-peating, we know that's sort of the threshold. We don't see teams three-peat very often. I think it's due to fatigue. And so when you have that 3 to 4 year window, you need to win as many titles as you can. Detroit, again, 4 straight Eastern Conference Finals, 3 straight finals appearance, only got 2 championships. I think back at 2011, if Miami could have gotten it done against Dallas, they could have capped off their three-peat last year. I know it's a world of what-ifs, but teams, when they're constituted making deep runs every year, that shelf life is usually 3 to 4 years, and looks like we're seeing the end of a run with this current group.
Yeah, I just saw Tom Haberstroh tweeted that the Spurs Big Three has played 10,000 fewer minutes in the last 4 years. In the last 4 seasons since 2011, the San Antonio Big Three has played 10,000 fewer minutes between them. You're seeing that in guys like Dwayne Wade. We got to talk about Dwayne Wade today, because I like Dwayne Wade. I was mentioning before the show, he's probably my 3rd favorite player to ever watch. Like, I loved watching Michael Jordan, obviously. LeBron James right there with him as far as my favorite player to watch. And then Dwayne Wade was right there. I remember going back to watching him in college at Marquette. Had a triple-double to get his team to the Final Four. Was just, all over the place, just all the effort, hitting the floor every 5 seconds. And it's come back, and honestly, it's made it to where this year they've had to do this maintenance plan to get him to this place. And I don't want to act like, and I know that some of these comments are probably going to sound like I'm saying he's done or he's just too old and he can't make it, because if you watch these playoffs, the maintenance plan worked. Like, they got him to the finals. Every series he's averaged more points, rebounds, and assists. But in the NBA Finals, he's looking old. He's looking like he just doesn't have it. He was 3 of 13 last night, and Weldon, you made the point that there were moments where it was just like, it looked like he was trying to turn it on, and he just didn't have he's hitting the nitro button, and there's nothing there. Right. So it's kind of a sad situation for Dwayne Wade when he wants to put to another level and he doesn't have it. But lots of credit has to go to San Antonio, because they play the game, and we mentioned this before, they were the better team. It was LeBron James, and what could he get from the others to take him over the top to beat San Antonio, because San Antonio has better pieces. They are just playing outside their minds, shooting 55% for the series.
And you mentioned Dwayne Wade from a fatigue standpoint. He's the guy we're going to focus on, as we should. But I would even go as far as to say it affects LeBron James. Now, we can't tell from a statistical standpoint, but as far as, there's a stat out about LeBron James in fourth quarters, only has, I think, 14 points or whatever the case may be over the course of fourth quarters. And I think him carrying the load over the course of 3 quarters. It's also been a problem as far as them being able to close out. But I think when you look at this Miami Heat team and, with the challenges they're going to have to face, look, the series is more than likely over. I'm not going to sit here and make a case, but I will say this if you're a San Antonio fan. Closing out a series is a little bit different than running the last few meters of a race. Because when you run the last few meters of a race, all you have to do is complete that last little bit. You've done most of the work. When you're trying to close out a series, yes, you're close as far as the games, but it's still a whole new 48-minute life. It's almost like kind of start over again. And I do believe sometime in the next 3 games they will complete it and finish it off. But it does bring a little bit more of a challenge. I think if I'm Eric Spoelstra right now, I'm telling my team, look, and he said it last night in the postgame. He's like, look, we've shown that we can come back and not lose after a loss. Well, that streak is over, but we've proved we could do it. Now we got to up the ante and show that we can do it in an even greater degree. It's going to be tough for Miami, but again, if you're San Antonio, I think you have to be ready to close the deal. You do not leave the door open because this Heat team, Mark, you know them. They're erratic. They could have been up 2-0 in this series. I know it's coulda, woulda, shoulda, but if I'm San Antonio, that's edging me on. This is not over. This team can swarm us and make us look bad if we don't continue to be in clinic mode, and that's what I want to look for.
If I'm San Antonio, that's exactly what I'm thinking. But this series is as close to over as it can possibly be.
I agree.
Literally, nobody has ever come back from down 3-1. There's a reason. For one, there's a reason you're down 3-1. Yeah, and if I can understand if it was 3 1-point losses, but it's a 15, a 20-some, and a 20-some. These are beatdowns. And I know the first one was LeBron James was out, but it happened. It's a win for San Antonio. So now Miami has to win 3 games in a row, 2 of which are in San Antonio. It's over. I just say it's over. 5 games, and I have to apologize to those who I said were idiots for saying San Antonio was going to win this series in 5. Because the reason I say that is because I didn't think, after game 1, I thought Miami's winning game 2.
Right.
Miami's winning game 2, it's in San Antonio. So that means Miami has to lose both games in Miami, and San Antonio has to win game 1 and game 5 in San Antonio. That's not going to happen. Well, it's looking like it's going to happen. Now, Miami, nothing about this series so far that I've seen leads me to believe that they have a prayer of winning Game 5. Now, LeBron could come out and have 50, but we saw against the Nets. I know the Nets hit 1,000,000 threes in that game like they did, but he had 49 in a game. They barely won. I think that San Antonio is the only team in the league right now that could beat Miami this series and this season. And they're doing exactly what they want to do. They're putting the points on the board at a crazy pace. They're shooting an incredible percentage. They're being unselfish, and they're making Miami look bad.
Let me ask you a question. Can I ask you this? What is San Antonio, in your mind, doing differently these last couple of games to get them blowouts when we saw a close-ish until LeBron went out in Game 1 and obviously the Miami won Game 2? What has San Antonio done differently in your mind the last couple of games?
Their depth has become more of a factor than I thought it could. I thought, okay, Patty Mills and Tiago Splitter and Danny Green, they're just guys. And Kawhi Leonard has played outside his mind. If he's not the MVP, I don't know. I mean, Tim Duncan may be the MVP, but I think it's Kawhi Leonard. If you're asking me,
yeah.
I thought Miami, and you can see their stars are just going, ooh, they just look like they've got no energy. LeBron had 38 minutes last night, 39 from Bosh and 33 from Dwayne Wade. When you look at Tim Duncan, 31, Tony Parker, 35, and go down to Manu Ginobili, 28. Danny Green had 19 minutes, and Kawhi Leonard had 39. He was the most of any of those guys. The fact that San Antonio can run so many guys in, and the you mentioned it before the show. You watched the last couple minutes of a blowout, and the guys are still moving the ball around and getting good shots. They're running Miami all over the place, and they're both efficient teams, but San Antonio is doing it with depth, so their guys aren't getting as tired, and Miami's trying to use their stars to keep them in the game and to get them over the hump. Well, they're just getting run into the ground.
And that's a good point. One thing that's interesting to me is you mentioned fatigue. And I don't know what's going on as far as from a training standpoint. I mean, obviously they all seem to be in great shape but the Miami Heat tongues were dragging out in the second quarter of last night. Now, again, you got adrenaline going. You're down 2-1. You're desperate, all this stuff. You're grabbing shorts in the second quarter. I mean, I don't know. With Dwayne Wade, sitting out those games, preserved his knee, but you look at game conditioning, he should have gotten back in some kind of shape over the course of the playoffs. But there's really no excuse for being tired that early. That's a problem if you're Miami. It's a problem if you're Dwayne Wade. You should not be tired that early in the game.
I wonder if getting down so much so fast and having to put out that much effort to try to come back 2-3 times so far, if that has had an impact on how tired they are at the end of the game. Like, I can tell whenever, like, I was playing, and I'm not an NBA player. We're not NBA players, but you've been in a gym before where you walk in and there are some dudes who, and we all do this. We all try to get on the best team we possibly can. But there are some dudes out there, and you're just like, you've been on the team before. You're just like, I don't really care that much. We'll win, but we'll just, whatever. I got down Monday. We're playing with some guys. We got down 11-3, going to 15. Make it, take it. It's their ball. 11-3. I mean, it's pretty dire straits for it. And when you lose, you go sit down until it's your turn on the board again,
That's
which
right.
could be an hour. So we didn't want to lose. We turned it on. We won. Well, Miami, they have to turn it on. And sometimes they go, like I said, to hit the nitro and there's nothing left. Maybe having to come from so far down has been their issue. When San Antonio, man, they're just like clinic mode, well-oiled machine, and it doesn't take any more effort, especially when they're sitting guys for, let me see. Tim Duncan played 31 minutes. He played less than 3/4 of that game. So, they're a lot more fresh. I mean, that's no excuse, but that may be a reason for why San Antonio looks more fresh.
And I would say this, though, and San Antonio, to me, in the playoffs, the one difference for them from the last couple of years is they're not turning the ball over against these pressure teams the way they have in the past. Oklahoma City 2 years ago, Miami last year. I mean, you get busy in the passing lanes. That was a problem. San Antonio is not turning the ball over. You're not seeing as many run-out LeBron dunks, D-Wade dunks, and layups off turnovers. And that's really been a huge part for the Spurs. And, Patty Mills, he is another, as Shaq says, but I will say this about him. The fact that he can dribble the ball and Gary Neal couldn't, I think, is a factor because now it takes him less. It takes more off Tony Parker because he's now not the only point guard on the team. Because last year he was the only point guard on the team. Even off the bench, Ginobili would handle the pick and roll duties when Tony was on the bench. But to have another guy that can play pick and roll and handle the basketball and also make some shots, I think is a huge deal as opposed to a Gary Neal who was a pure shooter. But, boy, he could not dribble whatsoever.
I love the way the Spurs are unselfish and the way they're put together as a team. The fact that guys like Parker and Duncan and Ginobili will sacrifice. Like I saw somebody made a point last night when I guess it was Danny Green hit a three and Pop had sent Ginobili to the scorer's table to get him, and he just brought him back. And Ginobili didn't get up and make this man. He sprinted back to the bench. Like, that's crazy to me, the way that they respect Pop and the way that they respect the system and the way they respect each other. I have to give a lot of credit. And Kawhi Leonard, man, I said before the series, there ain't no way he's going to be able to average a double-double. He had like 15 rebounds last night and 29 points, I think, the game before. He's coming into his own as a stud, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he plays the rest of his career. We've got a lot more NBA Finals coverage. We'll talk a little bit about a discussion with LeBron James. The finals will not affect LeBron James. Yeah, right.
No,
if you think the finals won't affect LeBron James at all, you're crazy. It's going to affect everything about the way the Miami Heat are put together. And we'll talk about that here in just a minute. A couple local sports news notes here. 7-on-7 camps. Obviously, it's a big deal this time of year. Right now, you've got teams all over the area trying to get better. It's kind of interesting to see teams like Hector, who run the ball, playing these seven. I know it's just skill work for them to see, what they can work on and stuff. But Pottsville also, they wanted to do team camps instead of 7-on-7 because they'd rather be in pads hitting and or at least whatever they can be in right now. Yeah. They can do some things to work on what they do. They run the dead tee. They're not throwing it around, so 7-on-7 camp doesn't work for them. But seeing some of these teams in the area and hearing about how they're replacing some good players like Pottsville, replacing Michael Perry on both sides. That's gonna be a tall test, but I think they're gonna be pretty good this year. And some of these other teams working. I know that Clarksville was at OBU this last weekend or this week, and they lost in the semifinals of one 7-on-7 tournament, and they had several inside this camp. They lost 24-22 to Greenwood. So that's a pretty big deal because Greenwood is obviously really, really good in the 6A, and they're working really hard. But 7-on-7 camps, pretty important, and team camps as well at this time of year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Greenwood replacing Burgess, so, I mean, it's good for Clarksville to be able to get in the mix with them. Obviously a powerhouse, they're a machine. You look at summer, it's so much different now. I mean, it's graduated to being a year-round process as far as the team camps. I mean, that was unheard of, when I was in high school. You had 7-on-7, obviously, was a big thing. Russellville won it, I think, in 2002, beat Gus Malzahn Springdale team for the state championship. But you look at team camps and the ability to do some thud. That's what we call it, high thud, when you don't have bottoms on, you don't have pants, but you have the shoulder pads on. You can get in your formations. You can do some form type wrap ups. Obviously, you're not bringing to the ground, but you can wrap up when you do a high thud session. And it's really good for these players to have more of an opportunity year round. The kids, it's really important though for the players, I think, to monitor their rest, because a lot of these kids are dual sport athletes. And so what if you have, summer baseball, basketball is year round. They're doing these team camps in the summer too. Then you got to run over and do your football. So I know these coaches, at least I hope they are, monitoring those things, not just in this area, but across the state, because you don't want to burn your kids out. They could be in 3 summer sports all at one time.
Yep.
So you really want to be careful with that.
I know a kid right now who's having to go from basketball, and 2 kids actually who are having to go from basketball to football, and it starts to wear on you. It starts to take a toll on your mind and your body, because for one, a lot of these kids, they're better at one sport than the other, and they feel like they're kind of afraid they're going to lose their edge in one, and one they're playing the other. But then it takes a commitment to do those things. It takes some money from some parents too. So lots of stuff to consider there. But yeah, like you mentioned, it's an important time of year in the summer to get better in every sport. Also, need to say a big congratulations to Hector head boys basketball coach Cody Vaught, who has accepted a job at West Fork. He's going to be the new head coach at West Fork. He was an assistant there before going to Ozark as head junior high coach, and then coming to Hector as head boys basketball coach. He is a year older than me. We both went to high school at Clarksville together, and he's a great, great dude. I made the joke yesterday on Facebook, and it's not a joke. This actually happened, about how we went to Panama City Beach with some friends the year after we graduated. So it was 2 years after for them. Oh. And, we all wanted to hang out and stay together after we graduated and kind of be friendly and never, forget about one another type thing. It was one of those let's get back together and hang out type thing. So we went to Panama City, and we were good kids. We weren't doing some of the crazy stuff you might see on movies and stuff, and please don't kill us, parents. But we go to breakfast one morning, and I don't see Cody till lunchtime, and I look around, I'm like, where's Vaught? Where's Cody? And they were like, oh, he went to church. He went to church by himself in Panama City Beach. He's just a quality dude. He's a good man, and he's a good coach. And Hector was lucky to have had him for these 2 years. Heard nothing but great things. He won the Tri-County Coach of the Year this year. He's a really good dude. And Hector is on the search now. They're on the search path right now. I asked their principal and their athletic director who they were going after yesterday. Didn't have any specific names. I did throw a couple their way.
I figured you
just
might.
to ask about whether or not they were interested in these folks, and got a little bit of information. Nothing solid to go on yet, but when that becomes available, we'll let you know who Hector's going to have.
Oh, there's nothing like a good juicy coaching search.
Yeah.
There's a tech coach.
Hey, they got a 25 win season for the next couple of years on the horizon for whatever coach decides to take this job.
Hey, you look. We can talk about hog coaching searches all day. Who cares? Texas. We want to know about Arkansas tech searches, Hector basketball searches. Let's start some rumors that aren't going to happen. Was John Gruden seen in Hector? Has he been seen in Hector? Because he might be a candidate.
He might.
Hey.
You never know. I I don't know. I look forward to seeing who takes that job because it's going to be a good one, and it's going to start kind of a domino effect. If it's a local coach that takes this job, somebody's going to have to take that one, and then you may see some positioning, and I'm just looking forward to seeing it. Good luck to everybody who's up for it and who may or may not be in the running to be the next Hector boys basketball coach. It's a good job. And let me see if there's anything else local. No, I think that's it. I don't guess we want to talk about Meta World Peace being an assistant girls basketball coach.
Coach Peace.
What?
Coach Peace, I got a question for you. What happens if there's a table leg somewhere and I get mad at an opponent? What should I do?
Stab them through the heart with the table leg. Like, oh my gosh. Meta World Peace? Like, really? They're just doing this for publicity's sake. He's an assistant girls basketball coach.
Oh, it's a girls basketball?
I hope he's doing this for free. We shall see. All right, we got to hit a break. When we come back, we'll look a little bit more at the NBA Finals. We may even talk the World Cup. You never know.
No.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KRK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further.
We'll give you a little bit of a reprieve here on the Sports Blitz on a Friday from the NBA Finals. Come back to it here in a little bit. Let it marinate for a little bit. If you're upset about it, if you're happy about it, you should give us a call. More if you're upset about it than if you're happy about it. If you want to rub it in, you can call 968 News, but I'll just let you know. I'm going to let you have it. 968 News. It's 968-6397. You can give us a call with anything you want to talk about, as long as it's not too much about baseball or soccer or maybe golf. Hey, Martin Keimer, he was 8 under last I saw.
He's
he was
10 now.
10 under? Are you serious?
Like the second is 2.
In a tournament which, a lot of people were saying over par was going to win. He's 10 under through 14, 5 under for the day on Friday. That's unreal. He's 8 shots clear of Kevin Na, Graham McDowell, some names that I can't pronounce, Dustin Johnson, Brant Snedeker is 1 under. what a performance so far for Martin Keimer. He's even got his boy Dirk Nowitzki tweeting about him.
Dirk, really needs to watch his tweets. Fire, F-I-Y-A. Come on, Dirk. I mean, it's not like it's shut it down, let's go home. It's not like it's that cool. Shut it down, let's go home.
That was a funny clip.
Yeah, Martin Keimer's playing well. Obviously, they're at Pinehurst, number 2. This is the site of the U.S. Open in '99. Payne Stewart, of course, beating out Phil Mickelson. We know the late Payne Stewart has passed on since then. But the U.S. Open is that's right, he had the pants. But this is this is my favorite major. It always has been. I respect the tradition of the Masters. I respect the green jacket. I respect Augusta. But I like a flat-out tough golf course. Why? Because I'm at home watching. I'm not playing on it. So, I mean, it really doesn't matter to me. I like seeing some double bogeys. I like when it's in unplayable lies and to see these professionals have to struggle, to see par or over par be the leading score. And really, for the most part, it's along those lines. I mean, second place is 2 under. Keimer's just playing well. He's beating the golf course right now. I mean, so it's playing to U.S. Open conditions, although the rough is not U.S. Open rough. They have some sand and some more natural obstacles as far as the terrain. But, obviously looking at Phil Mickelson, I think he'll tee off a little bit later. He's around even par, so, of course, he's going to have a good day, and Keimer's going to have to slow down the pace for Phil to get back into it. But, obviously, with no Tiger Woods, that takes the interest out, understandably so. And so Phil is the guy you look at. He's won all 3 other majors, won the British Open, which that had eluded him last year. He's got that one. This is the championship he needs, and obviously with no Tiger, that's where the eyes are at. Keimer's a good player. He's in that mix with the Spieths and the McIlroys, that group that somebody needs to emerge. They're all good, but somebody we want to see emerge. Maybe it's Keimer. We'll see.
He's playing very well, and he's good, but he's going to come back down to earth a little bit. I go the opposite way on, and I don't like golf unless Tiger's playing really well. I haven't paid any attention to it, but I would go the other way on what I would like to see. I would rather see a million under par and dudes taking shots at the flag every time, because at the end of the tournament, you get, all right, I got to make a really good shot right here, and I know he's going to make a good shot, and then now it's just who can, I don't know. I just like to see people shoot under par.
The thing about it is, and I like that more, I don't like those in between tournaments. Some, like a John Deere tournament, some of those tournaments get up to 20, and that's crazy. But you have these in between tournaments where like some good shots, some bad. U.S. Open's all the way on the other end to where like you're excited about the mistakes about to be made. Like, oh, this dude's about to hit it in the water. Oh, this dude's about to bury it in the sand. Or, oh, my, there's no way he's going to get this up and in. And he's going to double bogey. Like, you get excited about the mistakes because you know it's going to be some crazy, crooked numbers posted.
You just mean.
I like my golf tough. I like to watch tough golf. Now, I'm playing next week, and I hope it's going to be easier.
Yeah.
I'm going down South Arkansas and play a little bit, and I'm hoping it's easier then. But when I'm watching – tough conditions.
Moving to the World Cup, we're just worldly here today. We're talking about it all. Yesterday, the Brazil national team got its opening round win against Croatia, won 3-1. A little bit of controversy there in that one, but Brazil opens with the win. I mentioned not picking them to win it because of the pressure on them. I'm pretty happy with that pick. I don't think that I don't care about soccer. I'll just be honest with you, at all. But I did watch a little bit yesterday, and you can tell, man, they're on home field advantage. They're home. They get to sleep in their own bed type of thing. But, man, I can just imagine if the U.S. Olympic basketball team played a team that was every bit as good or better than them, and they were playing in, like, New York City, how much pressure they would freaking have on them. It would be unbelievable. I can just imagine that Brazil's going through that sort of thing right now. Mexico, Cameroon, I saw somebody tweet, Mexico is playing some guy named Cameron, and go Cameron. They're 0-0. That's a great soccer match.
You usually don't see that in soccer, do you?
28 minutes into the game, and the ball has been kicked between here and here a lot. I'll just let you know. Goals are over here. Not a whole lot of action on those. But, yeah, it's bad when you have to get excited about an own goal yesterday. Brazil's the first goal that they gave up to Croatia. Croatia went up 1-0, and it was because Brazil kicked it in their own goal. I celebrate. I don't care. If the ball goes in the – you could just make soccer no goalies, a much smaller field, and make it like – indoor soccer or something. Like they have indoor soccer, but like make it that, and I would be much more intrigued. So that there's a lot of scoring, but I'm also, I got what's that shiny? I got ADD, so soccer is not my game.
Are you gonna hog all the soccer time? I want to talk some
all
soccer,
you want.
but
Talk all you want.
You just want to use all the soccer time.
I'm sorry, Bill Simmons.
I'm not even
sorry.
gonna have any left. I mean, I want to say so much, but you mentioned Croatia and Brazil, and I talked to my good friends. I talked to my good friend Tony Kukoc. Obviously, he's supporting his Croatian team, and then I got with Nene, my Brazilian connection. So I look in and we talked about the teams, and obviously,
did you ask him about Fred?
I did not ask him about Fred
and Hulk.
Fred, that's a good soccer name. I like that name.
Fred and Hulk.
Fred and Hulk.
I just laughed about that, and I didn't know. So
yeah, they like those one names with soccer.
Yeah, what did Nene have to say to you?
Well, Nene was excited. He said he acknowledged what you said about the pressure, but he thought they could handle it. He was proud of what they did in the opener. And Tony said, "We'll be back. We'll get back in the mix. We dropped the first one, but it's still pool play." But you mentioned soccer, the nature of it, and I'm with you. I think I figured out a way to kind of enjoy soccer.
Okay.
But I think you got to put your mind in a certain place and almost look at it like, obviously goals are so valuable. You rejoice so much when you score one, to where I don't want to say it's like battle or anything, but you need to get excited when you get near. Like, it's a big accomplishment when you get near the opposing team's goal, and that's something to even celebrate right there. And it's almost like a watered down version of football. Football, it's not exciting every play. It is something more fulfilling when you score in football than when you do in basketball, obviously, because there are fewer scores. Well, just take that mindset, water it down even more, and you got soccer. When somebody scores a touchdown, it's like, yeah. When somebody hits a three, it's like, okay, cool. So I figure it's more of a reduced down version soccer. Like, somebody scored, yeah. So I think that's kind of where I got to put my mind to enjoy soccer. But it still makes it tough, though, when you see about an hour and nobody scored.
This is, to me, it's I don't know. You don't know when the half's going to end or the game's going to end. Like,
yes.
What's so hard about this? Like, stop the clock. It's not hard.
Stoppage time.
It's like, we've got somewhere around 4 minutes of stoppage time, and team scores a goal, and you don't stop the clock. It just keeps rolling, and they're running around celebrating. It's like, where is the
what if this
organization?
What if this was the NBA? It's a timeout. You don't know what's on the clock, but you figure it's about over. Let's say like Miami runs a play, and they have Ray Allen come off a screen, and when Ray Allen catches the ball, the buzzer goes off. Game's over. Like, what? I was about to shoot. Like,
I wonder about that. I do wonder about stuff like that. Like, we're deep in stoppage time. Team's down 2-1, and guy goes to. I mean, what happens if they're just like, and the guy just kicked the ball and it's rolling in? Like,
and I guess at that point, I guess it goes into penalties, right? That's what the penalty.
Well, yeah, but if they're down 2-1, it's over.
Well, yeah, it's over 2-1. I'm just saying, like, if it's tied, I guess is that when they go into penalties? I mean,
I don't know.
I defer to you when it comes to soccer on this show.
I am very, very knowledgeable when it comes to things like soccer, but I know they go to PKs at some point. But I think last year or a couple years ago when I went and watched the Russellville team in the state championship, they played an overtime period, and then they went to PKs. And PKs, man. That's pretty freaking sweet.
In that, yeah.
That's pretty sweet. Of course, these professionals are so good that it's like 90%.
Yeah, that's
goal
another
rate.
I remember I don't know what I was doing, but I actually watched the World Cup with some people, not the last one before, the year I graduated in 2006. And it got down to Germany and somebody. I think Klinsmann was coaching them and all that. And it got down to penalty kicks, and they squared up, and they're concentrating, they kick it in, and everybody's like, yeah, he made it. I was like, he just kicked it straight. The dude didn't have a chance.
They just guess. They pick one side or the other. If they guess right, they've got a chance. If they don't, then they're just diving this way. The ball is going that way.
Yeah.
So make them back up or kick it opposite-footed or blindfolded or something like that. Do something awesome. Yeah. Oh, I'm changing the world's most popular game just to fit me. Yeah, that's selfish. All right, a couple more things. Let's see if there's anything else that's not. A couple things. Olympics in 2024. Looks like 4 U.S. cities are still in the running: Boston, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., and San Francisco. I don't know which one I would like to see.
What was those again?
The 4 U.S. cities: Boston, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Washington, D.C.
Yeah, obviously LA has had one in recent memory, so that'd probably be a hard one. Boston, some of these cities, I haven't visited. Is that going to be open enough? Seems like Boston's kind of a tight city. I don't know how that would work. San Francisco's kind of open-ish, laid back. So I don't know. But then they, like I said, they've been on the West Coast. So I don't know. Was there a fourth city in there? Or was those three? Boston, DC. The capital. Security. I don't know. It's interesting to think about security.
Yeah, DC won't
stuff.
win it.
Yeah.
You're right. That's a good thought. I hadn't come to that conclusion yet. And then let's see if there's a couple other things. Donald Sterling. We're gonna get back to the NBA here in a minute, and it's the Alzheimer's turns. Yeah, for Donald Sterling. He's hired 4 private investigator firms to investigate the NBA, the owners, the commissioner, the former commissioners. He's just absolutely trying to dig up dirt. Investigators here, according to this ESPN.com story, were given a 6-figure budget over the next 30 days to examine the league's finances, allegations of previous discriminatory conduct, and compensation to past Commissioner David Stern and current Commissioner Adam Silver, said the AP source who spoke Thursday. They also, let me see, there was something else that I just saw. They're just doing, oh my gosh, they're doing a whole lot of digging onto the NBA, the owners. They're about to take a vote. You got guys like Mark Cuban, who's probably going to be the only one, if he does vote against it, to vote against the NBA and the other owners. And now Donald Sterling's digging on those owners. It's going to get messy.
I'm not going to lie, Mark. I'm a little bit interested. I think Donald Sterling and his mental lapses has kind of stumbled onto something. I don't have expectations, but I am a little bit interested to see. Let's play along for a second here. What if something came out of this as far as some dirt? I'm not sure it won't. I'm not saying it's going to have an effect on things, but Mark Cuban has been a little bit defensive, and at first it got me thinking, okay, he's worried about something in the future in case he does something wrong, in case he has something. But what if there are some skeletons that have already taken place, already in the closet? What about these other guys? Again, I'm not expecting anything to come out, but when you open the door of saying we're going to almost be looking into you, who knows what might accidentally fall out and what we hear. I'm just going to be interested to see the next 30 days if anything comes out.
This is quotes from the story. It says, he realized these guys in the NBA will literally go to any low to get this sold, the person said. Even if it gets him nothing other than exposing all these guys and shaking up the league and seeing a change in the leadership of the league, it'll be worth it to him.
Yeah.
Jeez, Donald Sterling is going for blood, and he doesn't have anything to lose. He's going to make $2 billion from the sale, but he'll spend every bit of it to win this lawsuit and or just piss off the league and everybody associated with it. Just because, man, Donald Sterling, that dude is a problem.
Big Magic Johnson. What's he done?
He's a problem.
What's he done?
The AIDS.
He's got AIDS. That's what he's done.
Dude is a joke. I'm reading here on Twitter that 2 Mexican goals have been disallowed so far.
What?
That's rough, man. And then there was some controversy yesterday in the Brazil game about a call. Lord knows I wouldn't understand what it was about, but there was some controversy.
I would not be.
Controversy.
Controversy.
I think that's how they say it over there.
Well, you know what? I would not be. For really, you could pay me a lot of money. I still don't think I would be a World Cup official.
Those dudes could get killed.
Yeah, exactly. You know how they'll burn people in the parking lot.
Have a freaking Molotov cocktail thrown at you from the stands.
I don't think I would do it. It's one thing to be Joey Crawford in an NBA. It's a whole other thing to be, one of these football international officials. No, I don't think I'd do it.
All right, we got to take a break. We'll come back and we'll look at the NBA Finals a little bit more. There's not much to say other than San Antonio's playing really well and Miami's not. But I want to look at the implications of what's going to happen when San Antonio closes out this series. It's going to happen. It's almost inevitable. Never been done before that a team comes from down 3-1. So we have to talk about the inevitability of the fact that Miami's about to lose this series. San Antonio is going to win. What happens for the careers of both sides after this?
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on KRK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Rule number 76. No excuses, play like a champion. You got to watch Wedding Crashers, okay? Because we can't give the Miami Heat any excuses that Friday the 13th, blah, 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 the Heat sucked last night.
Mark, when they turned that AC off and they cheated, that's what it was about.
I think they did cheat.
Thanks to DJ Khaled. So you and DJ Khaled are really similar.
Yeah, I was listening to I had my ear to the ground in the streets, literally.
The streets are saying.
There's some of these folks, man, they really do need to put their head down on the street and let somebody just run it over. Like they're just curb stomp some folks. The Heat got drilled again last night. Its series is over. Okay, LeBron James says this won't have an effect on what I do. I find that very hard to believe, because if all things stay the same way, like they can all opt out of their contract. If I'm Dwayne Wade, I'm just saying, you just pay me what you want. Just pay me what you want for this next year. I'll opt into this contract because I ain't getting it anywhere else. And if I'm LeBron James, it depends. It depends on how the team is going to be constructed. If you're going to keep Dwayne Wade at the price that he's been getting, it's just not going to work, because they're going to have to rebuild. They're going to have to get rid of this. They're losing the salary of guys like Shane Battier, who's retiring. They'll have to rework Chris Anderson, and I want Ray Allen to keep playing. I don't know if he will or if he has that ability, but they're going to have to rework his salary. They're going to have to get rid of Mario Chalmers altogether, because he's just been terrible. And I hate that, because I've been one who would defend him the last couple of years to guys that I know who don't like him at all. But it's just been very evident that he's just not good enough right now to play, especially at the salary that they're going to have with the big three if they're going to keep him. But I find it very, very hard to believe. Matter of fact, I don't believe that this finals loss, that it's going to be a loss, is going to have no effect at all on LeBron James. He can take less money. Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh can take less money, and they can bring some other guys in, and that's even less money than they've already taken. You know, they're not going Kobe and $25 million a year. They're making 18, 19, now up to about 20. But I find it hard to believe that this won't have any impact.
Yeah, and you got to think about kind of what he meant when he said that, because I think you can look at it in a couple of different ways. When he says it won't affect him, I could imagine him saying, I'm not going to make an emotional decision because of the pain of losing. If he's going along those lines, then I can see him saying that. But there's no question for LeBron. It always has, especially in recent years, and it will always be about the chance to win those rings.
Exactly.
And if Miami presents the best place, then that's what it'll be. And if they can obviously get the salary where they need to be, then it's right. But, I'm looking at the numbers right now. Bosh is, opting in. Bosh is due 20, LeBron 20, Wade 20. We know that's too much. I mean, you got the luxury tax situation to think about. You don't want to be a repeater as far as being in the luxury tax, being over.
You don't want to be a Peter or a repeater.
No,
that's for sure.
You don't want to be either one of those. Trust me, people at home. But so I think you're gonna have to retool this team, and then you start thinking about, well, how are they gonna do it? Can they find more veterans? They've kind of made their living on finding guys who used to be big time in places, going to Miami, settling. So I think you have to ask a couple of questions, Mark. Can they find guys that can do that? And is that the right way to keep going about it? Because you look at a Rashard Lewis, yes, he can shoot, but he's a liability in other areas. You obviously, some of these other lower price guys they can do certain things, but they're also limited. So do you want to go and try to build this team in a different way? But I agree. It starts with those big three. I think LeBron will take less, because LeBron has finances all over the place as far as making money. Chris Bosh seems like he's in. Dwayne Wade, he's the guy who's the question. And it's like I said in the pre-show meeting, Dwayne Wade is going through a tough time because the physical is starting to fail him more often than it has in the past. And for me, from a mentality standpoint, it's always been a little bit of an issue. He loves LeBron, they're friends. It's never going to get to an ugly situation. But Dwayne Wade was an alpha dog. That's what he is. He was in this league. Even though Shaq was kind of the face, he was the driving force that won that first ring in Miami. He's been one of the best players in the game. And I think it's not that he doesn't want to be a supporter of LeBron as far as being the number two. I just don't think he's wired to be a number two. He's like, you know what, either I'm taking over or I'm just going to do nothing. Like, he can't find that in between. And now the physical is failing him, as we saw when he tried to take over. He couldn't even do that. And so that's something that's going to have to be looked at.
It's going to have to be looked at, and it's going to have to be something to where I know Miami won't do this, but if I'm Miami, I'm going to Dwayne Wade and saying, look, we want you here. We know you want to be here. You want to finish your career as a Miami Heat player, but we can't do what we've done. Like, we can't do this anymore. This maintenance program has affected everyone. Like, LeBron's dragging booty out there right now, and this dude, you've never seen him do anything less than dominate, and he played very well last night for a lot of the game. Had 19 of their 21 points in the third quarter. Appreciate everybody else showing up there. But Dwayne Wade, he can't be a max player. It can't even be close to a max player anymore. He's going to have to take significantly less. Will he do that, or will he want to go Kobe? Will he want to go someplace and be the guy on a team that he makes all the money and everybody else is terrible? I don't know. I would assume that Dwayne Wade would want to stay around. He's going to have to sacrifice even more next year. He may even have to come off the bench. If he's going to play the minutes that he's going to have to be on a Spurs type rotation where those guys just don't get all those minutes. They can't anymore. And Pop is smart enough to play his guys as little as he can and set them for long stretches of time. Dwayne Wade's going to have to be that guy, and he's going to have to be on the floor at a different time than LeBron James.
Then there's a reason, and for me, that's always been the issue. Like, they just don't fit perfectly together, but they're really talented and they're unselfish, so you can still win 2 championships. That doesn't mean it always flows. That doesn't mean it's always easy. And so, again, now that Dwayne Wade's failing from a physical standpoint, it just magnifies that issue. And let's look, there's a reason why star athletes, not just basketball players, there's a reason why guys don't finish their careers with their original teams. Because, egos are involved. Part of what makes you great can also be part of your detriment once you become older. You got to this point because you did want to take over. You are the man. You embrace the challenge. You know it's about you. You know your team rides your back. You embrace that, and that's what made you great. But once you're not capable of carrying that load anymore, then it's still hard for you to understand. Kobe Bryant can't get it through his mind that he ain't the best player out there. He just can't do it. Kobe Bryant believes Kobe Bryant is the man. He still thinks he's 81-point Kobe because that's how he's mentally wired. He doesn't care that he's torn his Achilles or he has knee problems. Dwayne Wade doesn't care that he's not the same guy. He is wired a certain way to be the man, and physically he's just not.
All right, we got to hit a break. It's our final one of the show. We'll come back and tie a bow on this. We'll talk a little bit more about what the Heat are going to have to do. I can see, if I'm Eric Spoelstra, I'm going into the locker room after the game, and I know he made all the right comments, and I'm saying, look, we can be a team. I made this statement on Twitter. We can play like champions, like defending champions, or we can go out there and get punked. And you can just leave. You can do one or the other. You take it one game at a time because it's all that's in front of you is one game. If you lose, it's over. So you've got to go out there and lay it all on the line, win, do it again, win, do it again. It's a tall test. Nobody's ever done it. But obviously that's what he's going to have to convince his guys to do. I don't see how it's possible. Watching them walk around and go to Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at RealMarkFreeman and see the tweet that I just retweeted about 11 minutes of shameful, lazy defense from Dwayne Wade. And this is like beginning of the game, walking up the floor after he turns the ball over or airballs a shot type defense. They're going to have to completely change everything about the way they play and how hard they play to win this series. I just don't see it happening. We'll talk about the NBA Finals and tie a bow on the show right after the break.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance of rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
KRK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Welcome back in on the Sports Blitz. I'm Weldon Braxton, joined by my main man, Mark Freeman, licking his wounds, a proud Miami Heat fan. Matty Lassiter, as always, doing a great job behind the controls. And I know we said we were going to get to talk about what the Heat need to do and try to get back in it. And if we have a little time, I do want to get to that. But I want to talk about LeBron. Obviously, that gets you involved in the discussion.
Yeah.
LeBron James, unselfish, most unselfish superstar I think we've seen in the history of the game. I really believe that's fair to say right now. But he is the common denominator. I want to get your take on it as far as it always seems to reduce to him having to carry the load. And it's not from a selfish standpoint. It just seems like, the Cleveland teammates who weren't very good. We thought he had, a little bit better teammates in Miami, but still he ends up having to shoulder a lot of the workload. It's not because he's selfish, but what do you think that reason is that it always seems to come back to that?
You know what I think it might be is that he can do so much, so he's expected to do, like, he can play so many different positions, and he can fill so many gaps that he's expected to do that, and they build around him in that, like, you had Dwayne Wade, you had Chris Bosh, and you got LeBron James. LeBron James can play the point if he needs to. He can guard Tony Parker. He can guard Derrick Rose and Russell Westbrook, and he's done it. He can guard Kevin Durant. He can guard one of these guys. He can score no matter who's guarding him. That's the way they've built the team. Then they put shooters around him. They don't have a point guard. They put shooters around him because Dwayne Wade's a slasher. Chris Bosh is a stretch forward type guy. So maybe going back to Cleveland, he was your point forward / shooting guard / guard the other team's best player. So the way that teams have to be built around him may be a little bit flawed. I don't know because Michael Jordan did a very specific thing, and they built around him in that you had Scottie Pippen, who was another lockdown defender, could take a little bit of pressure off him. He was going to score. Michael Jordan was going to score. You got that from him every night. And maybe it's the fact that LeBron James has been good enough that he's been I'm not saying that he's better than Michael Jordan. He's been different than Michael Jordan.
Yes.
So it may be harder to build around a guy who you don't really peg him into one hole.
Yes.
He's kind of plugging different holes as they leak type thing. I don't know. Maybe that's it.
I completely agree. I think you hit it on the head. That's exactly what I was going to say. When you have a LeBron James, it's very easy to stand around because he can do so many different things. LeBron James, to me, he is talented enough to be a 30-point-a-game scorer, but he is hardwired to be a 10 to 12 assist-a-game type player. And so when you play with LeBron James, there's a tendency to say, man, this dude can ball too much. I'm not going to really have to score. And then LeBron's mind saying, I want you. I want you to score. I want you to do this too. I want you to be available. But they look at him and say, LeBron, I'm sorry. I look at you and I just can't get to that mode, man. I'm sorry. When you see a guy like Rondo's 6'1", scrawny, he's not going to try to score or do anything. So you need to be ready and engaged to score. He's a distributor. You look at him, that's all he is. But with LeBron, psychologically, you just look and say, this dude, he's our guy. He's our scorer. And LeBron saying, yeah, I can score, but I want you guys involved. And I think that's sometimes hard for his teammates.
And really, this is LeBron criticism coming. Just get ready for it because it doesn't happen very often. I have been telling people, too, though, like I'm the most critical of these guys, of basically anybody that I know. LeBron, I get mad when he doesn't want to score for extended amounts of time. I don't think, like we've mentioned, he's not Kobe, he's not Michael. He's not hardwired to be the scoring guy all the time. Right. He wants to get other people involved. It's got to be hard to be on a team to where a guy is your best player. He can and should be the guy who scores and takes the most shots, and he's not always wanting to do that. Like, he's wanting to get you involved. I've never really experienced that before. If ever I played with somebody, it's somebody who, this is what they do.
Yeah.
It's not. There's never been somebody so versatile that, like, we played with guys who were really, really good. There was a guy that was a sophomore when I was a senior who he was our best player. He was incredible, but he was wired to score.
And
you knew he was going to try to score. He wasn't trying to set you up. And then, when you get into that situation, if you're Mario Chalmers, do you really like? What do you think? Do I need to go shoot this ball? I got Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh on my team. Every time I'm shooting the ball, that's in the back of my head. Am I the best option here?
Yeah.
Do I need to be the guy who's trying to shoot it? So I can just imagine it'd probably be a little tougher to play with a guy like LeBron. And to those people who have attacked LeBron with this, to their credit, he isn't hardwired the same way as a guy like LeBron or like Kobe or Michael Jordan is to be the scorer all the time, and sometimes that hurts his team.
Yeah, I think so. And so I think, as we wind down here, the question becomes, what's a good type of teammate for LeBron? And that's why, again, I think Carmelo wouldn't submit to LeBron. That's why I'm saying more of a Rudy Gay type. I think you need somebody who's kind of selfish. I think you need somebody who's going to say, yeah, you LeBron, you this, but, I know I can score. I may jack it up a lot. I may not be as efficient, but you know what? I know I can do me. I got the confidence to take the shots and do what I want to do. I don't really care that you LeBron James. Feed me the rock. And a Rudy Gay, like I said, he's got so much talent. I think LeBron could help him use his powers for good instead of evil, because we know right now they're used for evil.
They may need to go after a guy like, Rudy Gay is a better fit than a guy like
but he costs too much.
Crawford, like Jamal Crawford.
True.
Who, you just come in, this is what you do. You light it up. It's Ray Allen. You come in and you score. You shoot the ball. When you get it, you just don't do anything else. But we've seen how that works when they don't do anything else. Miami gets their butts kicked. So a couple other things here. You got anything else on the finals?
No.
I think Miami's losing in 5. We'll be back on Monday, and
I'm giving them a chance.
They won't have won the game. If they win the game, I'm just going to be even more mad, because then they're going to go back to Miami and they're going to find a way to lose in Game 6 at home, the third game at home. So I'm a little upset. Just be honest with you, with the way the team has performed around their stars, and I can see it on the faces of guys like LeBron, where he's just like, I'm putting up 28, 30 points. I'm putting up 19 of 21 points, and we're still getting beat by 20. Got to tip your hat sometimes to the San Antonio Spurs for how they
almost
play.
like 2010, and we took the jersey off in 2010 after the season,
and everybody knew he's done.
It almost felt like that.
Yeah, well, I hope for his legacy's sake that he doesn't go out looking like a punk. That's all I hope.
Yeah, I agree.
If he goes out in Game 5 and he's just 10 points and 3 assists, that's not good. So I just want him to play well. And like I said, Charlie Spakes talked me into this morning, that I'm not a real Miami Heat fan, and I'm really not. I'm a LeBron James fan. I've made that as clear as I could. The reason that I picked Miami is because Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, 2 of my 3 favorite players ever. They're on the same team. It's a natural fit. It's not like, though, what happens to me when I see the Arkansas Razorbacks logo or when I see the Dallas Cowboys logo. It's not the same thing. It doesn't matter that Tony Romo sucks.
Yeah.
I root for the Dallas Cowboys.
You weren't there for the Ronnie Cycli era with Miami Heat basketball.
No.
Yeah.
So I'm just be honest with you. I'm following the players. That's just the way it is in the NBA. With players, free agency moving around so much, I didn't grow up as a fan of a certain team. It was just Michael Jordan and the Bulls, and then when he's gone, I liked Hakeem. I liked guys like Charles Barkley, David Robinson more than anybody else aside from those couple, and then LeBron James.
And I think you and I were the same. I wasn't a Bulls fan. I was a Jordan fan. I think the difference is, like, you found your next Jordan. I just said, look, I'm just going to watch basketball.
Yeah,
I think we both loved us some Jordan more than the Bulls, and that's how we were young like that.
The Atlanta Falcons are going to be on Hard Knocks. The Cleveland Browns, thank God. They said no.
That would have been.
Oh, my gosh. That would have broken everything. The internet would have just had to hit reboot because he would have just went crazy. Yeah, Johnny Football took a dump. This is the internet, so we can say things like that. All right, we got to get out of here. That's all the time we've got for today. If I hit everything, I think I have. All the topics that I wrote down here, we have gotten to. Yeah. Hey, shout out to our boys from this local area who are playing in the Dunbar League. That basketball league in Little Rock. Garrett Hill is playing on that team. They got some local guys from all over the place, Tech players and things like that, former Tech players. And they're playing against Joe Johnson's team tonight.
Joe Johnson plays in that Dunbar
They're playing
league.
against Joe Johnson. I said, Garrett, man, how cool would it be if you got so hot that Joe Johnson had to come off somebody and guard you?
Yeah.
You just talk for the rest of your life. Joe Johnson, he thought he had to stop me. It'd be even more cool if you're just still dropping bombs and Joe's guarding you. That's going to be fun for them tonight to play in the Dunbar League. That's all the time we've got for today. We'll be back on Monday at 11 o'clock with more Sports Blitz for Weldon. And Maddie, I'm Mark, saying so long. We'll see you at 11 o'clock Monday morning.